There's so many. Has anyone been to them all?
Not likely.
I want to be the first one to see them all.
Truly wonderful the mind of a child is.
Come on.
When you find people who need your help, you help them, no matter what.
Good luck.
We have hope. Hope that things can get better. And they will.
Stand up together. Because that's when we're strongest. As one.
You won't be going alone. You'll have a friend with you.
No. I'll have a Jedi with me.
You might wanna buckle up, baby.
Rise.
Rise in the Force.
Take care of us, little one.
It'll take care of you. We had each other. That's how we won.
The Force is strong in my family.
Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
What is it they've sent us?
Hope.
Hello there. Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ahsoka's Weekly Mission, the show where we do spoiler-heavy discussions on the latest episode or episodes of Ahsoka that is currently streaming on Disney+. I am your host, and my young Padawan learner, who will one day be a very great Jedi. Please welcome Snips herself is in the building. What's up, Christie? How are you?
Hello, everyone.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Good to see you too, Snips. Hello, Snips. There's your line. There it is, right there. You were waiting years for that line, but you finally got it at your young age. And I'll tell you something else, Snips. Guess who else is joining us? Someone who is very good at sharing his love of fandom. Someone who's also very good at giving us dissertations that are 600 pages long in a 1-hour show. Please welcome, of Around the Fire Pit and Unrelated at Birth, the very own Geek at Birth alumni, Dave Adams is here. Hello, Dave.
Hello there. 600 pages. Now that's a little much, but you know, I have been known to go off on tangents, but I promise Ryan and Christy, I'll keep it to a minimum this week. I promise. It won't be that bad. I do have some thoughts, so.
Well,
do I have thoughts?
Yeah, do we have thoughts? Now, the question is, do you, who may be watching or listening to this, have thoughts about anything about Ahsoka, anything about Star Wars? Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Our producer's going to be keeping an eye on it as it goes throughout the course of this broadcast. And don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know, because you're going to like the way you look after watching or listening to this episode of Ahsoka's Weekly Mission. I guarantee it. Snips, I got to go over to you first. What are the positives, if there were any, that stood out to you in this week's episode, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was episode 6, Far, Far Away? What do you got, Snips?
Well, that title, first of all, was awesome. I thought it was a good tie-in to everything. And then Thrawn was so cool. I think the craziest thing for me, which is like, you would think that it was easier to see this, but having like a animated character's voice in a live action body was just like, it took me back a bit. Like, it was weird to get used to seeing that voice in live action and not just have someone completely new. But I love Lars, so he did a great job with that. I thought he looked great. And then I was not expecting Ezra to show up, but Sabine and Ezra being together again, I'm so excited he was just there, and the turtles were cute too.
I thought the turtles were one of the best parts. It brought to my mind Ewoks.
Yeah.
And Sabine finding the turtles and friending the turtles while Sabine's I'm still calling it a loath wolf. I doubt it was, but while Sabine's loath wolf was kind of wanting to eat it, it brought to my mind Leia and Chewie. You know, Chewie's first thought was, let's shoot the daggum little teddy bear. and Leia's like, no, let's befriend him. Let's befriend him. So it was such a cool parallel for me to see.
Little suits.
Yeah. If you have a home on your back, why do you then need a home that you live in?
I I'm not really sure. It beats me, but you know what? What doesn't beat me is the fact that wonderful people are here in the chat. Yo, Adrian. Adrian says, this is lit. Heart, 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 heart emoji. Well, Adrian, thank you. We appreciate that. We hope you're enjoying this. And he also says, I have seen the trailer for this series, and this movie, it's actually a series, just so we're clear, Adrian, is mind-blowing yet amazing for Ahsoka. Well, if you haven't watched the series yet, you're being spoiled. So you might want to go and watch the first 6 episodes that have already dropped.
It's so good.
Adrian. It is good, Adrian. Yo, Adrian. I can't help it, Adrian. I can't help it. When I think of that, I think of a franchise that's 100 years old and before my time. But I've seen
only the 70s.
I know. That's a long time ago in a movie cinemaplex
far away. Anyway, okay. You're the one on the tangent now, Ryan.
No, I'm sorry, but Adrian mentioned something. I just wanted to bring it up. Thank you, Adrian. Appreciate that. Make sure you watch the series, though, because you're kind of getting spoiled. But I will say, the Ninja Turtles, that was cutesy. That's okay. I got you. They're cutesy, but those are cool positives there. But my question is, Dave, what were the positives that stood out to you in this week's episode of Ahsoka?
So it was so cool. Christie's talking about seeing the voice actor and hearing the voice in a human body. So cool. But to me, seeing the Night Sisters in true figure human
creepy
form,
crawling.
Creepy, but so screen accurate. I thought that was amazing. I love how Filoni makes his movies mirror image, or makes his shows mirror image of the movies. Not only did we talk, I think we talked about it earlier, not only did we get kind of a Luke or a Leia and the Ewoks type, we got a Luke type Western when he's going to Old Ben, where we got Sabine fighting off the creatures there.
Yeah, they look like Tusken Raiders just reformed into like Minotaurs or something.
Right. And then as the Dark Jedi, I'm going to call, I forget their names.
Baylan and Shin.
Baylan and Shin. Yeah. As they come in, you see the creatures overlooking the hill, just like it happened in A New Hope. I tell you what, to me, I don't know if you caught this, guys, but I love just the little details on the Chimera. If you zoom out and look at the picture of when he comes in and hovers over the little temple thing where the Night Sisters were, and you look at the bottom of the Chimera, you can see just
symbolism.
Small. You can see where the Purgle hit the Chimera in Rebels, and it shows the damage there. And 2, you can see where they filled in the cracks with gold. And if you look at the stormtroopers, which are death troopers, if you look at the troopers' armor, you can see that they filled in the cracks there where it's starting to show wear and tear with gold. So that is, and I cheated a little bit. I did a little bit of research. that is actually a symbolism. I believe it's of Japanese culture, or there's some type of art,
like samurai type stuff,
right, where you fill in the cracks with gold.
Yeah.
I fully think going forward, we will find out, because at the very end, spoilers, here we go. At the very end, Thrawn turns to the Night Sisters and says, I'm requiring your dark magic once more.
I need the power of the dark side.
We're going to find out. And it looks like the troopers are loading something into the Chimera. I fully believe those are caskets. And he is going to use their dark magic to basically make a whole brigade of death troopers. Death meaning the troopers are all dead.
Oh.
Just like Malik was as the Grand Inquisitor, we found out in episode 4. I fully believe that we are going to have a huge brigade of dead stormtroopers, and he's going to have a massive army.
I was like, I wondered, like, the whole end, maybe not the ending of this show, but maybe at some point, if this continues on, like, they're going to have to figure out a way to defeat the magic first to kill it all.
Right. So here's my theory, y'all. These next 2 episodes are going to be amazing.
Well, they have to be.
Right. But do not get your hopes up. I fully believe we're going to end with Thrawn, leaving this new galaxy, and Ahsoka and Ezra and Sabine all stuck in this galaxy.
Ooh, that's an interesting theory, or an interesting
hypothesis. We will not have a happy ending at the end of this series.
If the show wants to keep coming back for more, what do? You leave the people wanting more with something known as a cliffhanger.
Right.
And by the way, Adrian says no problem on spoiling him with spoilers. Okay, well if you're cool with that, then hey, more power to you. Dave Mattingly's here. He says zombie clones.
It will happen,
and they're going to be zombie troopers. Literally, they're going to
Let's also think about this. These aren't clones.
Well, not clones, but they're troopers.
These are actually the stormtroopers, because if the timeline comes out, I think this is definitely after episode 6.
Yeah, after Return of the Jedi. Yeah,
it's after Return.
Within the same timeline as Mando. Yeah.
Which, sorry, Christie, I don't mean to keep talking all the time.
This is what happens, Snips. When you bring someone who's the chief of the Jedi/Sith archives.
I'm very passionate about this show.
Buried in file after file after file, and you're thinking to yourself, maybe I shouldn't come on the show anymore. But no. Please keep coming back.
I've watched episode 5 3 times already, by the way.
Same.
Speaking of which, you know what? I'm going to send this to you in the green room later, but someone did a very excellent job of posting a clip from a little indie show called Ted Lasso with Jason Sudeikis.
Oh, yeah.
Where the woman and him are sitting there, and it says, it's like your best friend is looking at you saying, why are you watching this? You've already watched it 5 times already.
Obviously,
don't.
You live!
You do whatever you like. We can't condone anything to the soul. We can't live.
Right. I fully believe that, as the Purgles are going in hyperspace, if you put, I can't remember which episode of Mandalorian it is, but when they're in the Naboo ship, Grogu sees Purgle flying. I fully believe that he senses Ahsoka in a Purgle.
That would be cool
flying by him.
That would be a cool connection. I'd like that.
They've already felt the connection towards each other in the Force because of Book of Boba Fett. So Grogu knows what he just felt.
Yeah.
And he sees Ahsoka as they're flying by.
That'd be cute.
Wow. Okay.
So
Dave Mattingly. There be whales here, Captain. Aye, matey. There be whales out there. Yeah. There's a lot of space whales out there, man. There's like 30,000. There's like 30 of them or something with Ahsoka right now. It's good for Cocoa Puffs. But
Brown wants to kill them all.
Yeah, sorry for the technical difficulty from a moment ago there with my headset coming off. It's just when I get, when you play a TikTok video and you go, we can't live. But anyway, it's live. Anyway, that's a clip from another show that's not relevant to this discussion. But my positives for me in this episode, once again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I Jimmy Crack Corn, and I don't care, Snips. The visual effects of this show,
it's so
every
good.
single shot is
beautiful.
They spent like $500 million on how gorgeous these shots are, because the ships look great, the atmosphere looks great, the sets look great, the costumes.
Oh, they're
really good.
amazing.
I mean, the witchy woman, of Dathomir. Like, I'm thinking to myself, that looks pretty darn accurate from that book I read called Dark Disciple, because I can imagine things in my mind. It's a great book, by the way.
When they popped up on screen, I was like, this is basically like Ventress in live action.
Yeah,
that was like the first thing I said.
I was freaking
like,
out a little bit. I was like, dude, I know these women. I know what Dathomir is because I read the book. I did my research, guys. I read Dark Disciple, Dave. It's a true story, and it's a great story too.
Let me ask you about this. What's your thought on Filoni basically rewriting Star Wars history? Because what we knew was that the Dark Witches were from Dathomir. Well, now we found out that they're not from Dathomir. They're from this new this galaxy that is truly far, far away.
Tomato.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't bother me too much. Maybe that's why they had that power compared to just normal power.
Mothers or sisters of Dathomir. I don't know. You know what, man? Look, and people have made this argument on social media, and with all due respect, you're more than welcome to your opinions. They may be wrong, but no, I'm just kidding.
You're welcome to your opinions. They're wrong, but you're welcome to.
Every opinion is valid. Even Dave's opinion is valid. So
hey,
I'm kidding. I mean, it is valid, but still. So people say, here's the thing. Like, people say to me, why would you read these books when you know they're non-canon? Like, if you watch a show now and you read a book that takes place in the EU or something that's not part of the new canon, if you will, just to give everyone some context here, why are you reading that? And I think to myself, well, because the story is a story, a book is a book. Right. I think of every book as a standalone. I don't think of it as taking place in the same, it may say in the beginning of the book or like in the, what do you call it, the inserts, like, hey, these books take place during the timeline of Phantom Menace and da-da-da-da. I'm like, look, if I read a book and enjoy it, I don't care what time period.
I'm the same way because
I don't think of anything as canon or non-canon. I just don't care because everything is a standalone story.
Yes, I love how they're doing Thrawn in the show. I love Thrawn all the time, but he's definitely not as similar as he is in the books, which are the canon books, not even his Legends books.
I was going to say, because I think what they're doing is bringing Legends into this.
Yes, I think they're bringing more Legends books into Ahsoka than canon, and it's pissing people off, and I understand why, because they have a whole big deal of what canon and what isn't, but they must have broke canon books in TV shows at least 15 times. Like Ahsoka with the Inquisitor and Tales of the Jedi, like, had a whole different experience after Order 66 in her book, which is considered canon, but they just break the books all the time. So it's like, you just have to be happy that you're seeing the character again. Like, that's how I kind of view it as. I'm just happy to see Thrawn again.
Yeah,
so let me ask you.
Yeah, they warned me before I read Ahsoka. They're like, hey, just so you know, like, that book Ahsoka is great, but like they kind of redo it or kind of like yank it from canon. Like when you watch Tales of the Jedi, I'm like, I don't care. I don't care, because a book is a book, a story is a story. And not only that, more people in the chat are here. Dave Mattingly says, Ryan is a Jimmy Corner cracker. You heard it here first. Dave, listen, I said Jimmy crack corn. I don't care, but you get my drift. Yasi is here. She says, knowledge is a chore for people today. Reading is a crime, apparently, she goes on to say. And Dave says, a lot of the sci-fi that I read was written before I was born. I laugh at canon.
So
that's fair.
Canon has a very special place. I'm actually the opposite of you guys. I enjoy reading. Like when I read Master and Apprentice, I like to know that
I love that book.
It's such a good book,
dude. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, I like to know that right up to the end of it is where we see Phantom Menace.
You see, I agree with that. I think my thing is more, I'll have that mindset until they change it in the movies, and then I'll kind of accept it.
Yeah. Well, like, I don't know if y'all have read this one yet, but it was the it was what happened between episode 2 and 3, where we find out right the last time that Anakin and Obi-Wan see each other in Revenge of the Sith, where he says, I've saved you 9 times. Oh, only 8. That 9th one. There's a book that talks about that 9th time, and it goes. It's a whole great book, and that's a great book. But I'm trying to remember what the name of the book is, where it's you find out about that
Brotherhood.
Yes, it is Brotherhood. It's so good, but it opens up even more Revenge of the Sith to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Someone's saying this in the chat. I'm hoping you're just being silly about it. I don't know, Yasi, but she says,
yeah,
at
she's
Dave Mattingly, how dare you burn those books?
She's being silly.
Listen, if you enjoy something, I say go with it. If you like the book, celebrate it. If you don't like the book, listen, that's fine too. I read my fair share of books that I don't agree with, but that doesn't mean I would.
I'll be honest with you.
There are some really good Star Wars books out there. Mm-hmm. Christie, she's read all 80,000 of them because that's her job. But
so,
man,
I have my one gripe I have
with what
with last night's episode.
Oh, Far, Far Away, yeah.
Right. So at the very end, when we find out that Ahsoka's on the way, and
she's coming.
She's coming.
The
Night Sisters or the Night Mothers tell Thrawn that Ahsoka's coming, and Morgan Elsbeth says she's coming. I know who this is. We thought she was dead. Thrawn knows who Ahsoka is because of Rebels. Now, granted, when Thrawn exits or enters the show, Ahsoka was supposedly dead. But through the world between worlds, she's not. Yeah, the whole cross section. So, and then Thrawn says, I need to know everything there is about her. I need to know who her master is. If you read the Thrawn trilogy,
haven't done it yet.
which it's a great read. I'm a big audiobook person, so it's a great listen. But
I have the first of that new 3 Thrawn trilogy here on my desk from Timothy Zahn.
Yeah, it is so well. Actually, I think the original Thrawn trilogy is the best.
You mean Heir to the Empire?
Heir to the Empire.
I have that set over here on my shelf, right? I just haven't read it yet.
Well, we're getting you're basically getting Heir to the Empire.
Is that what I'm getting?
That's what episode 7 and 8 is going to be.
I guess I know what I'm reading tomorrow then.
Yeah.
Right, Snips? Is that what I'm reading tomorrow?
You should.
Probably
should. So at the very end, Thrawn says,
"Yes,
I need to know everything about her. Who was her master
was,
right?
What her skill set is, where she eats, where she sleeps, what music does she listen to. I need to know everything."
Thrawn, right? So Thrawn knows Anakin. He knew was one of the few that knew Anakin was Darth Vader.
Oh,
so I think that is going to play hugely into it.
I'm excited for that.
That's why we got episode 5, where where Ahsoka was basically throwing off. It's the old
Gandalf.
It's Gandalf, right?
Yeah, Gandalf the Grey becomes Gandalf the White. In this case, people made that comparison with Ahsoka's character the last 2 weeks.
She became Ahsoka the White in that episode because she knew, Anakin, who I believe was a Force ghost in the episode 5.
Yeah,
I truly believe if you read the Return of the Jedi from a Certain Point of View book,
which Christie has, but Ryan hasn't.
Right. If you read that, it basically talks about how Anakin became a Force ghost.
That's something I'm more than happy to read.
Fully believe. Yeah, I fully believe that he was a Force ghost in episode 5 and was finishing her training.
That's
just like Qui-Gon did with Obi-Wan in the middle of Obi-Wan 2. We're going to see that in Obi-Wan 2 if we get it. Yeah. But that's why we had to have episode 5 then, because if Thrawn had brought up all the Anakin stuff like he's going to do to try to defeat Ahsoka, she wouldn't have been able to do it. But now that burden has been lifted off of her, and she knows that it's not her fault that Anakin turned to the dark side, and it's not her fault that the Jedi fell. It was going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's dude. George Lucas said it the best. It's like poetry. Star Wars, it's a cool movie. But when you really get deep down into the weeds of all this, it is like poetry. It all flows. It all adds up. It all comes together at the very end. And I am here for it.
Well, in the words of our good friend, also known as Master Yoda, it's energy. Surrounds us. It binds us. So I dig it. What you're see, this is what happens, Christy, when we bring him on. He does a 600-page dissertation of the study, even though we are only asking for 6 paragraphs, but whatever. Dave Mattingly's here. He goes on to say, or Yasi goes on to say, Yasi says, "This is one of my favorite books, Master and Apprentice. I recommended it, Ryan. Do you remember?" Yes, Yasi, I remember, but I think I read it before you brought it up on the room that we have on Clubhouse. So I'm just throwing that out there as an example. But it is a great book. If you haven't read it, by the way, for those of you wondering, this is Ahsoka's weekly mission. We're diving into spoiler-heavy discussions of all things Star Wars and Ahsoka as well. So if you have any thoughts about it, drop them in the comments, drop it in the chat. Don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. And once again, I want to thank our panelists, Snips, and some dude named Dave for being here. No, we love you, man. And Dave goes on to say, Yasi, I reads what I reads. I am what I am. So, okay. And then they're having a nice little tit for tat in the chat here. Dave Mattingly, of course. Anything but that is wrong. I was simply joking. What do we read? I wish he was saying it like that. Yasi, Dave Mattingly has a very strange sense of humor. So if you take it with a grain of salt, you'll understand it more as we go throughout the course of this program. But as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by the leader of the Jedi Sith Archives, known as Dave Mattingly. Or Dave, not Dave Mattingly. Dave, too many
Dave Adams.
It's too many Daves. I'm so sorry. Dave Adams. Sorry, Snips. Anyway, positives were the following. Visual effects are incredible. Sabine being reunited with Ezra, who has long hair and a very thick beard. You didn't see that coming? No, I did. Because quite frankly, I thought Ezra was dead. But he alive. He ain't dead. So
I love his eyes.
So
his eyes look so good.
We know who Christie wants to take to the winter formal.
So
I don't know if that's going to happen or not, Christy. I'm just saying. But
when's the last time you've watched Rebels, Ryan?
a few weeks ago when they had that curated list on Disney Plus that says essential Ahsoka Tano episodes, and I watched the two episodes from season 1 of Clone Wars. No, thank you. But from then on, I watched every episode that they curated from Clone Wars, Rebels, and Mandalorian. So I'm caught up.
So here's why I ask you that. You remember when they showed a picture of Ezra's parents?
Oh yeah.
He is a spitting image. The actor is a spitting image of his father in those pictures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good casting executives.
Mhm.
Well done. But as I was saying, Dave.
Hey,
so
I can't help it that I'm learned.
You are. Yeah, that's one way of describing it. So, Dave, I'm just messing with you, man. I'm just saying that you have a sense of humor about things. That's all I'm going to say, Dave Mattingly, but that's up to you. And Yasi is laughing at you right now with a laughing emoji. You're welcome. Go ahead, Yasi. Feel free to ask him any questions. He'll answer them for you in the chat, respectively, of course. Visual effects were great. Dathomir connection to Dark Disciple. Since I read the book, I did my studies. That was cool. Seeing Thrawn in the flesh. All right. So you got the big bad Bone Daddy is in the building. So I like that. Lars is doing him justice, doing it very well as he did in the series, respectively, because it's the same dude who did the voice. So the biggest positive thing that came out of me for this was not only were her finding off the bandits in the middle of no man's land when I thought they were like weird versions of Tusken Raiders. That was cool. Her getting her blaster on, getting the saber on there. That was cool, But I gotta say, the philosophical discussion between Baylan and Shin.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. We don't see that in anything Star Wars. We never see someone saying, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right team? Am I doing this right? Am I not doing it right? Because in an earlier episode, he says, Faith, I lost that long ago. Well, you're working for the bad dude, son, so what are you going to do? And Baylan keeps questioning himself over and over. And then he's telling Shin. Shin's like, well, aren't we here for a purpose? Like, you found me, right? Like, you trained me for this. Is our destiny here in this wasteland, Master? No, it's not. But something is going to change. And I don't know what it is yet, but I know it's coming.
I think we're about to see a Force dragon.
Are we going D&D on Star Wars? I don't know.
No.
Is that in the budget?
It's the Bendu.
What is that?
The Bendu from Rebels.
The moose.
Is there a dragon in Rebels?
So he is
like
neither
that giant moose thing.
Yeah, he is neither light nor dark.
Oh, the one who was working with Kanan. Yeah.
Yep.
I do have
Bendu.
A point about that I do love is I like the fact that Thrawn is working with the Night Sisters because I think he understands their magic. Because I think ever since Bendu and then Kanan and Ezra too, but mainly Bendu, I think Thrawn just hates the Force. So that I think that's why he told like Morgan and all the people, like, I don't care if you kill Baylan and Shin. Like, even if they're on our side, I don't think Thrawn trusts anyone with the Force at this point.
He does.
Because of Bendu.
No,
so I like
too much bad stuff come from it. He's like, no,
Christie,
I don't trust Sith. I don't trust Jedi. I'm doing things on my own terms, my own time.
I think, Christie, you have as close to a knowledge as I do. So I'm going to question you on that.
That's what happens when you read all the books that Ryan
If you read Heir to the Empire, even in Heir to the Empire, he doesn't trust because he has to use those Nagiri to mask all of the Force around him. So I think he's going to try to find that.
That would be cool.
This planet.
I think it's the fact the Force is the only thing he can't master or understand.
Right. He doesn't understand it. He doesn't.
He puts more trust into the Night Sister magic because they're just doing spells and whatever. Mm-hmm. Whereas
it's power from them.
I have a feeling.
Power.
So I don't. I think that the Night Sisters are actually using the Force just in their own.
Yeah.
Really?
In their own
I always
way.
wondered about that.
Way.
Well,
they're
because
calling it magic, but it's actually the Force they're using.
If you watch because if you watch Rebels, when you see Palpatine try to get into the world between worlds, he's using it's not fire.
Well,
it's Night Sister magic.
Yeah, it was like a
but
cauldron.
It's blue. Yeah. So right. So I think that the Night Sisters are using the Force. It's just the Force as they've learned it, which is a green mist.
Very green mist.
It's all confusing. Too many questions.
Christy and I are looking at each other earlier before you jumped into the studio, and we're like, I was a bit confused by this. I mean, I'm enjoying it. I get it, but
I
at the same
love
time, I'm
it.
kind of like confused by it because at the same time, and this is one of the positives that stood out for me in this episode, is Balin and Shin are questioning what they're supposed to do and what their role in all this is because they're seeing all this around them. Like they're seeing this from a outside perspective. They're seeing both sides of the coin. Like, he sees that, what is it? Sabine wants to be reunited with Ezra, right? And then on the other side, he's seeing Morgan Elspeth and the witchy woman of Dathomir, conduct their experiments and all this weird stuff. And they're seeing these stormtroopers who are wearing like different coated tape and armor and all this other, stuff. And Balin looks at Shin and he's thinking, I don't know what we're going to do in all this because I have an idea of what I want, but at the same time, it's not what's going to happen because everything, in a way, he still believes that everything is supposed to be as I guess to a degree as the Force wields it. I don't know because he's still one with the Force. The Force is with me, that kind of, that whole deal. But man, Balin, and this is the and I go back to this a few weeks ago when we were talking about this, Christie. It's so unfortunate that Rey is no longer here because if this character were to continue, he has a very compelling story going on with Balin.
Yeah.
But then again, you can always put it in a book, which people at Star Wars, I know you're watching this, just give us more Balin and Shin in a book.
So here's the unfortunate part about that. And
so
this is what I was going to say. This is where real life comes into Ahsoka.
It's sad.
I don't want a recasting of Balin.
I don't think they're going to do that, though.
As perfect as Ray Donovan has played
Ray
Balin.
Stevenson, yeah.
Or Ray Stevenson, I'm sorry. He was.
Yeah, you know your books, but you don't know your actors.
I'm sorry, yes. As perfect as he has played Balin, there's no way that you can recast him.
You can't.
They haven't killed him off because he was done filming it before he passed, unfortunately.
Yeah, before he passed, yeah.
So you're just going to have to leave it up as kind of this where is he type thing. It's unfortunately like Joker was in the Batman series. Heath Ledger was supposed to be in the third Batman.
Right. But due to the situation that happened in real life, they couldn't do it, so they had to rewrite parts of the story around that.
Right.
They just didn't acknowledge him at all. They just said, you know what? He went into Arkham, they threw away the key, and he's gone. So now Bane and his troops are the ones that are, the new antagonists.
Yeah.
Or what was it called? The Dark Knight Rises from 2012, which turned 10 last year, which is crazy. And they just had a Dark Knight trilogy marathon in your local movie theater this past weekend. For those of you who attended that, I hope you enjoyed yourselves because seeing all three of those on a big screen again,
so good.
Baby, that's got to be adrenaline through the veins. By the way, Yasi says Horseman Pig was introduced last night with the, the ones who were attacking Sabine. Yeah. And then Dave Manley says TMNT Turtle Power. That's right. Jedi and a half shell. I was thinking that too. It's like, hey, it's Ninja Turtles in space. It's okay. It's cool, right? And then Yasi goes on to say, I said it before, in my opinion, Balin is after the timelessness in the world between worlds. Is there any power that could be stronger than that? The balance is what Balin is after. Force wielders, such as Bendu or Mortis Father. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. So I think he's going to try, if he is in charge of the world between worlds,
maybe
he can change history.
That's true.
And I think one of the things I think we're going to say, we have to get into the world between worlds in the next 2 episodes.
We do?
Yes, because if he's after all this power, he's after the world between worlds. I think you've got to find a way in.
And he wants
Ezra
to
knows how to
destiny.
get right. Ezra knows how to get there.
Well,
I think
Ezra does.
We're going to, and this is just me thinking. I don't.
Of course it is.
I don't know if there's a way to see it. We're going to see old Luke. We're going to see Cal Kestis. We're going to see. I mean, because if you get into the world between, if you get into world between worlds, it's endless, man. We get that. We get Star Wars What If, which is a show that I have to have
because they already did it with the MCU. Remember that? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So for someone, and maybe this could be for the audience out there, because some people have stated that perhaps the series, I'm talking about Ahsoka now, not something that may happen down the line. Ahsoka, for those of you maybe watching this, some people have said on the interwebs that Ahsoka may be difficult to follow at times because if you haven't seen parts of Clone Wars, you haven't seen parts of Rebels, it could be confusing for a brand new casual viewer of Star Wars. And listen, I understand that argument. I truly do, because if I didn't watch any of Rebels, and I mean one piece of it, before going into this, I'd probably be confused as all get out. I'm thinking, okay, who's the blue dude? What's this woman with 2 lightsabers doing? Why does Sabine have weird colored hair? Like, I don't get it. But since I was familiar with these characters before Ahsoka kicked things off, or with the new series anyway, not saying that one came before the other, I get it, but I can understand how people are confused. And by the way, more people are chiming in here with this, and I want to take a moment to acknowledge them. And thank you all for being here. Do really appreciate it. Dave Manley says, of all the Stormtrooper armor possible upgrades, why use a Pharaoh mask?
I got this. Ooh.
Of course you do. Why wouldn't you? Go ahead,
so
Dave.
That
answer
is
Dave's question.
That is Enoch. And Enoch, I believe,
Captain of the Guard,
is Christie. You're gonna have to help me. Who was Thrawn's right-hand man in Heir to the Empire that it eventually turned on him?
Was it Callus?
No.
It wasn't Callus.
It's like N. It's or R. N or R.
Yeah.
It's something hard to pronounce.
Yeah. Rook, maybe?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. I think Enoch is Ahsoka's Rook. And they're going to find a way to turn him like he does in Heir to the Empire.
Me out.
Yeah, but he's supposed to. So that is a Egyptian death mask.
Yes,
what he's wearing, and that if you were listening earlier, Dave, that even leads more credence to my theory that these are the zombie stormtroopers. That these are all dead stormtroopers that the Night Sisters have reanimated.
I think in the closed captions it said like Night Troopers.
Yeah. Oh, is that what it said?
Somebody took a screenshot of it online.
Okay, we'll have to Google that in a bit here. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Yasi says, I'm trying to think of what Yasi said here for a moment. Sorry, comments are flying by like crazy. Oh, Dave Manley says Balin Skrull, John Goodman. No, they can't recast him with John Goodman. It's not happening. Yasi says, we know creatures such as Yoda or the Purgles migrated from this unknown region, this new galaxy that we have just entered here in the series. There's a different kind of force that's floating there. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Dave Manley goes on to say, fans of What If should watch the new season of I Am Groot. Wrong fandom, Dave. We're talking about Star Wars, not MCU. Dave Manley says, I haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels, and I don't feel confused about what's going on in Ahsoka. Well, guess what? You're one of the few fortunate ones, because I almost can guarantee you anyone else who's a fresh face to Star Wars who's watching Ahsoka is probably thinking, what's going on? I don't get it.
So let me take that real quick. I am a big fan of a YouTube channel called Screen Crush.
Oh.
And Screen Crush did a very good, my mouse is on it right now, did a very good 30-minute recap of Ahsoka and Star Wars Rebels. Everything you need to know about Ahsoka.
Right there.
Right here. Before you really get into the weeds of the TV show.
You can always watch that if you want.
Yeah.
It's available on the internet.
Yeah. Now you could watch all of Rebels, which I would highly recommend you do.
It's a good series, isn't it?
Yes.
I was there for all 4 seasons of it.
Yeah.
But
that's a good 30-minute
if you want
recap.
clip notes, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are wondering, what the bantha fodder are you guys talking about? Well, we're talking about Star Wars and Ahsoka in the latest episodes that has just dropped of Ahsoka, respectively. If you're just joining us, don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any questions for us or comments about anything Star Wars related, whether it's your favorite books, maybe your favorite comic books that feature Star Wars, I don't know. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Be more than happy to hear from you. And I'm loving these thoughts and feelings in the comments. Yasi says Palpatine was after it. If you can beat time, you own the world. Past, present, future, all in the heart of your palm of your hand. It's something beyond imagination. That's if what's his face? If Palpatine had the power, we would be in deep doo-doo. Yasi says Rook didn't turn on Thrawn. Zeb killed him.
Yeah. So right, he did in Rebels, but in Heir to the Empire,
which is separate from that,
which is
before
not
the
stabs in the back.
Right, which is not canon. Rook turns on Thrawn and stabs him in the back. Mm-hmm.
Really? Like literally stabs him?
Yeah. Thrawn's last line is like,
really?
But it was so artistic or something like that.
Yeah.
Such a Thrawn move.
Like, does this to him? Like,
yeah. He literally says, because if you read The Heir to the Empire, you find
Lord
out
knows
that,
I have to.
right, that Lord Vader, Darth Vader,
Yes.
had basically enslaved this alien race,
Yeah.
and kept promising that we'll make it better, and in order to make it better, these people were basically slaves and servants of the Empire. Well, when Vader died, Thrawn took over. Well, Leia and Luke basically showed them how they were being slaves, and so the whole clan, or the whole alien race, turned on Thrawn, and the very last person to turn was Thrawn's bodyguard, Rook.
No, it was Rook. And Dave Manley says, they're mummy troopers. I'm just kidding, Dave. Goes on to say, he returned somehow. Palpatine returned. Yeah, Rise of Skywalker, I know. And Icy says, sorry. And then Dave says, Itu Rook. And sorry, that's a Shakespeare. Thank you. Just wondering. So those are the positives that stood out to me. Where the action sequences were cool, but the philosophical debates that were going on between Baylan and Shin, like, we don't see that. We never see or hear that in any form of, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, in Star Wars media, respectively, although I haven't read all 60,000 books like, my apprentice, Snips over here has. But I digress. So, Snips, I got to go to you on this. Any negatives, if there were any, that stood out to you in this episode of Ahsoka?
I feel like kind of what we've just been talking about is that, like, we have a little bit of where it's going in the next few episodes, but there's only 2 episodes left, and I truly, like, I don't know what they're doing with Ezra and Sabine when Ahsoka comes, and, like, we have a little bit of ideas what Thrawn is doing, but, like, I feel like just going into it blind, kind of what's to come next, which is good, but also at the same time, like, for, like, episode 6, I feel like we should have at least had, like, a little more info of what we could see next.
All right, I could see that. I mean,
also one other thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like kind of agree with this, kind of don't. But I've seen people online be like, it feels like they're making Ezra and Thrawn be missing for, like, explaining it as if they've only been gone for 10 months. Meanwhile, they've been gone for like 10 years.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, look at the beard, dude. Look how thick his hair is.
I feel like they're
Ezra was like a little baby when he went missing. Now he's like 30 years old.
So I can understand that.
To help you with the timeline, Rebels happened before
Zero. Like,
it
ended in Zero.
It happened before Rogue One.
Right.
Yes. Before Rogue One.
Yes. And now we are after.
At least.
I think
we're
12, 13
plus years after Return of the Jedi. So it's like, how many years is that altogether? Is that 10 years later?
It has to be at least 10, I believe, because Mando.
We're 15.
I think I was thinking around 13 because I think Mando season 1 takes place around either 9 or 10, whatever.
BBY.
So I think
ABY.
Come
on now.
Yeah. So this is definitely a few years after that because it's like takes place the same time as season 3 or season 2. So
the characters have gotten older. Like Sabine's gotten older. Ahsoka's way older than she was in
I love
Rebels.
I love it.
You're showing their age, guys. People age. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. We can't look this ridiculously good looking forever. That's just the way.
I don't know about you. I'm over 40 and I still look this good.
I'm sorry, Snips. I'm sorry you have to put up with this. But so there were really a few negatives that stood out for you, Snips. I get it. So my next question to you, because I know you're on a bit of a short timetable here, Snips. What do you hope to see moving forward within Ahsoka? Or what do you hope to see within the Star Wars galaxy as it moves forward?
I'm excited for anything. I'm so looking forward to where this is gonna go. I want to see a reunion. That's what I want. I want a reunion of Ezra with Sabine. Well, we have Sabine, but like Ezra and Sabine reunited with like Hera and Zeb, please. Chopper. And I saw someone say that like Ezra doesn't even know Jason exists. So that would be emotional.
Yeah, because Jason's the little one. Yeah, he's the youngling in this one.
So here's my go ahead. I have here's my negative. I was going to go ahead and say it, but
well,
go ahead.
It falls in. Well, the reason I say that is it falls into what you were just saying there. You see somebody you hadn't seen for 15 years. You've been searching for him for 15 years.
Yeah. That's a long time, man.
And he says, it worked, didn't it? You go, wouldn't the first thing you say, yeah, we beat the Empire? You tell them, this is the biggest thing that's happened in your galaxy in years, and you started it, Ezra, and you say, we'll talk about it later. I mean, come on!
Yeah, she didn't reveal to him that, hey, Ezra, I made a deal with the devil to get here, and they're also like 2 miles behind us, and we're probably going to die here real soon. And also, Sabine is missing, or not. Ahsoka's missing. I don't know where she is. Hera's somewhere fighting off. Like, I'm here by myself, and I got 2 evil people that are about to kill me, and I'm not going to tell you this, even though I've just been reunited with you after 15 years of trying to look for you. Sabine, you really should have warned him that, hey, it's great to see you, but guess what? We got bad people that are 2 seconds away.
We don't know how much of the Jedi mastery that he has practiced in these 15 years.
That's a
because
good question.
If you remember,
We don't know.
Ezra was not the best Jedi until the last season of Rebels.
Yeah, he was still kind of being trained at that point.
Right. He was fighting Kanan every way he could. So did he learn to meditate?
You're by yourself with Ninja Turtles. I mean, maybe they taught him. I don't know. Maybe the Ninja Turtles taught him how to meditate. You go, I'm just sorry. I don't mean to make fun of people who use meditation as an everyday thing. I apologize. But yeah, you grew your hair out. You got these new threads. You got a thick beard. I mean, what have you been doing this time, man?
Right?
You just been chilling with the Ninja Turtles this whole time?
We need to know.
Have you been eating turtle soup on the side? Like, what are you doing to yourself, man? And then Sabine's like, I'll tell you later.
Also,
we don't need to worry about it right now.
If I maybe that's because like I'm like an excited personality, and maybe Sabine's more
excited?
emotional.
Get out of here.
I would be screaming if I found Ezra. Like, there you are. It's just like
everyone's like so quiet. Everyone's like so coy about it. They're like, "Oh, so you found me? I
Ezra.
knew you'd find your way." It's like, Ezra, like I thought she would be weeping, like crying, taking off her armor, and be like, "Oh my god, I found you! Like we found you!" And just be like jumping through the roof. But she was just like, "I knew I'd find you. Well, it took you long enough."
So, let me get a female take from this. Am I reading the room right, Christy? Is there a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, or is there a brother-sister relationship?
Brother-sister.
Everyone always argues about that online, but I feel like now it's more of a sibling. I feel like the beginning of Rebels, I definitely got like Ezra has a crush. I don't think Sabine ever had a crush. I think Ezra definitely did in Rebels.
Okay. Because I just in my mind, I think it's flipped now. I do think at the beginning of Rebels, I think that they wrote it in there right that he had a crush on her. But now the way I think Sabine is pining and was pining for Ezra, I think Sabine is in love with him now.
I hope not.
I hope that's not the story they're doing. But that might be my one thing I haven't liked about the way they've done this. She's sitting there replaying his messages.
Oh, in terms of negatives. Okay.
Right. She's replaying his message, and
the hologram,
she gives up the fate of the galaxy to find Ezra. And
she doesn't go to the ceremony because she's busy sitting at home watching the same movie over and over again.
In the first episode, I think in the hologram Ezra plays, it goes like, "You were like a sister to me, Sabine."
Yeah.
Like they probably put that in there because people would be like,
They didn't want people to get wigged out with the fact that, hey, this could be a lovey-dovey relationship, and Star Wars doesn't do relationships. Yes, it does.
Let me just put in the sister.
Right.
I always thought of you like a sister, Sabine. Did you ever notice that before? Anyway, well, we thank you, Christy, for sharing your positives, negatives, and where you hope to see things moving forward. Before you leave us to go to your Padawan training with your other master, because I know the rule of 2 is in existence for a reason, but it's okay. You can have another master where you are in the galaxy, because I know you're not here where I am in my studio, respectively. But before you go to your training to become the next great Jedi, because you're not going to be a Sith if I have anything to say about it. No. Where can the person watching or listening to this follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything that you're doing? Because I've heard you got a lot of good things coming up. What do you got?
Well, I just want to thank everyone for being here. Dave and Ryan, I had fun talking about this episode. Lots of fun. You can find me online at Snipsico, where I make canvases like this one I'll also be at a convention in New Jersey at the end of October. And you can also find me on Instagram at Admiral Reads and at Book Ascendancy.
That is fantastical stuff. Well, Snips, it's great to see you. We wish you
You
well.
guys too.
We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. But thanks for being here, Snips. Great to see you.
Yes. It was so much fun. Have fun.
Yeah, had fun.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks
Thank
for being
you.
with us. Greatly appreciated, Superstar. Yeah.
And now there was one.
Yeah, right. And then there were two. Always two. There are no more. No less. A master and an apprentice. Which is
So
a
I
great
guess I'd
book.
be the master, right? Because I'm the one with all the knowledge.
Yeah, unfortunately. But anyway, I regrettably share sharing a studio space with this gentleman. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So you've shared with us your positives. I think you've shared with us your negatives up to this point. And I think you've shared with us where you hope to see things go, or what do you hope to see within the Star Wars galaxy moving forward, or am I missing something there?
So I hope that we stay in this new galaxy for a while. I think that there is so much to explore here. I think we're going to bring the Mandoverse. I think this is setting up the Mandoverse movie that Filoni's going to do in a few years. I love that we are finally I'm as big a believer in the Star Wars Skywalker sagas, but I think it was finally time to get some new blood in here and going. Just a new Star Wars story. And now that I am raising the next generation of Star Wars fans, because Ryan, I've told you this, and we've had conversations about this. Ellie, my 9-year-old, showed some interest in Star Wars. I mean, she loves dressing up as Rey, but she's never really been, oh my God, Star Wars, until this episode.
Really?
And well, not this episode, but this series.
The series as a whole, you mean?
Right.
Wow.
So
talk about that.
She is just loving, like, every Tuesday at 8:00 East or Central for me, watching these episodes with me, and it's become must-see TV for her. Here's a funny story, funny little diatribe to show how, Ryan, you and I were raised, where you watch an episode and, oh my God, you have to wait a whole week. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
The first episode she really watched with me was episode 3, where, really something bad happens and you're like, what in the world is happening? Well, Ellie just like, Daddy, where's the portal? Let's go to the next episode. We got to find out. I said, no, honey, that's not how this works. So it's attached to her, and she's fallen in love with these characters. She's just pining for more information about Star Wars, so much that we started watching the Clone Wars. And I thought, that's a perfect way to introduce her to Ahsoka, the character, and how it goes. She's kind of getting baptism by fire because she gets the live action that we had to wait 20 years to see at the same time. It's just, to me, and the reason I love this series so much, it's so cool to see things that I've grown up with finally in live action. But I'm getting to see, through my daughter's eyes, I'm getting to see Star Wars for the first time again. And I'm getting emotional thinking about it, but it's something that is so special, because it's something that for my entire life, I'm 42 years old, for my entire life, Star Wars has been there. Yeah, it's a stupid movie. It's a stupid trilogy. It was a stupid cartoon. It was a stupid prequel trilogy. But as a Christian, even there's so much Christian interweaving with Star Wars. There's so much just life interweaving with Star Wars, and it's so cool just getting Star Wars, a breath fresh of Star Wars. But now I'm getting to see Star Wars for a first time again through my daughter. And it's powerful, man.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is so powerful.
I'll give you that.
And people ask me, why are you so passionate about it?
Case in point.
Case in point. It's because it's it's I always make this funny joke when somebody's going off and making something adult. I'm like, oh, it's for the children, man. This is for the Star Wars is truly for the children.
It's for everybody.
It's for the adults who are young at heart. But I think this series is truly bringing a new age of Star Wars along and bringing young fans to it who can then find out what Star Wars is about.
Well, speaking of the fans, and this is something I'm going to share with you here in a bit. But before I do that, I want to take a moment to acknowledge our incredible folks who have been with us throughout the course of this episode in the chat, respectively. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. This is Ahsoka's Weekly Mission. Episodes drop on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, live with panelists such as Christie, who we had here on a moment ago. People are chiming in the chat, and they have said, let's see, Yasi says, I wanted Sabine to wander on that weird wasteland like C-3PO and R2-D2 from back in the day, or like Boba Fett, then she'd meet the Tusken Turtle. Hey, listen, we got nods. There were like homages to certain scenes in this series, and I think Dave Filoni knows it, just like the fans do. Yasi goes on to say she asked for a ride and it was handed to her. She needs to have some sands in her boots because sand is coarse, it's rough,
it gets everywhere.
It gets everywhere, my friends. And then Yasi goes on to say, when Ezra said, "I can't wait to go home," I was like, about that. Let's let it tick. Hold on a second. I want to get to that here. And then Yasi goes on to say, I can't agree more with Dave Adams. The first dialogue had to be about victory over the Empire. Ezra's sacrifice literally made that possible in terms of how the dialogue should have been computed during certain scenes of the show. Yasi says, I love that Thrawn finally yielded to the Force, and imagine how much more frightening he is now. And I love that he blamed Sabine and said that you put your own galaxy in danger.
I mean, he did. She did.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, of course, yeah. Sabine making the deal with the devil, that was probably not the best thing for you to do. Even though you did end up being reunited with your brother, your boyfriend, your brother, Ezra,
something.
Excuse me, something to that effect. And Yasi goes on to say, thank the Force for children content. Well, I'll tell you what, speaking of which, and this is something that we're going to have here for you, at Nerd Culture. You can follow us on all forms of social media. Once we've made the broadcast and the scheduling available, we will release that information out to you, our incredible subscribers, and the fans out there. We're doing a new series. It's a new series. It's a podcast series. We're calling it The Meaning of Fandom. We're going to have different guests on each episode that are going to share with us what a particular character or a particular fandom means to that person and why. So going to Dave's point is how he was speaking about how much he loves Star Wars and how he's getting to relive it all over again by watching his family, his loved ones, his daughter specifically, watch this content and absorb it and be just be enthralled by it. No pun intended, Thrawn.
Yeah, enthralled.
Someone had to make the pun, ladies and gentlemen, and we have Dave Adams to thank for that. So that series is going to be coming to you very, very soon. We are in the process of putting together the scheduling. We're also putting together the roster of guests because we want to have a roundtable discussion. We want to have as many people who are interested in participating in that series as we can. And I'm assuming Dave Adams would like a seat at the table.
I would, but my character is one that you probably would not think of, but it's for a very deep reason.
Well, we look forward to finding out who that person is, or that character is, or that fandom is when we get everything put together within the scheduling and the details. More details are to be announced here at Nerd Culture's social media channels, which you can find in the description of this video and all our other videos as well. For those of you wondering, what does Ryan want to see moving forward? Well, here's the answer. So in the terms of the show, Ahsoka and the Star Wars Galaxy moving forward, I think what's going to happen is that somehow, some way, Ahsoka is going to show up. She's going to find out what the Shmealy dealy is. Thrawn's still alive. He's got power, Grayskull. And there's going to be a fight, potentially. I think Sabine's finally going to reveal. Hopefully she reveals the truth. The other saying, well, about you getting home, you see, there's a little bit of a thing going on where two people are on my trail. They're going to kill me. And there's this blue dude who you fought a couple years back known as Thrawn. He's still alive, too. And he's got a massive army up on the North Hill. We're going to have to face that, Ezra. I just want to let you know. I know you've grown a lot of hair and you've grown a thick beard, but I don't know if you're ready for this just yet. I don't know. But I hope we get a reuniting of certain characters within certain franchises. That would be nice. Secondly, I want to see battles go down. I want to see some blood. I want to see some sweat. I want to see some tears. I want to see I want to see some pew pew pew. You know,
You'll get it.
I want that flavor. I want that Coke. I want the Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, Pepsi, whatever. I want it all. I want it, basically, in the words of former pro wrestling athletes who would say, "Feed me more."
He's not an athlete. Can we forget about Ryback?
He's not, but I'm just saying, feed me all of it. Look forward to seeing it. And also, clearly, I have a lot of homework to do in terms of reading Thrawn, written by Timothy Zahn, reading the Heir to the Empire trilogy, once again, written by Timothy Zahn. So I have a lot of homework to do between now and then. Will I get it all done? Probably not, but I'm going to try. But even though Yoda's going to come back to me and say, do or do not.
There is no try.
No. Try not. Do not. There is no try. You want the impossible. Anyway.
Speaking of the impossible.
We can do the impossible. If we work together as a team, we can do much. That's what I believe in, Dave.
Can I bring up an old argument between Ryan and Dave on this show?
As we're closing up shop, sure, go ahead.
Can you finally now give some credence to Hayden Christensen and some appreciation to Hayden Christensen?
Here's the deal. I spoke about this in last week's episode, which was a great episode with the flashbacks. Oh, my goodness gracious. We saw a young, up-and-coming Ahsoka played brilliantly by Ariana Greenblatt, who also happened to play young
Gamora, yeah,
in Avengers with Thanos. And I'm thinking to myself, this actress is good. Like,
and she played in the Barbie movie.
Well, I don't talk about that.
I don't either, but I mean,
don't care. But good on you, Ariana. You had wait a minute. Did she have the role of young Barbie?
I don't think she was young Barbie, but
or was she just making it? Did she have an actual role in the movie that wasn't Barbie?
She had an actual role,
but it wasn't Barbie, or was it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, if someone wants to clarify that in the chat, let me know. But look forward to seeing that. We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Ahsoka's Weekly Mission, presented by Nerd Culture Channel and featuring our special guests, Christie and Dave. Christie, thank you so much for being here. Do greatly appreciate it. We are very happy that you were here with us. And we also look forward to having you back on the next episode of Ahsoka's Weekly Bounty. Dave Adams, the master of the archives when it comes to Jedi, Sith, Grey Jedi, somewhere in between, the creatures, the droids, the other characters that have been featured in this galaxy far, far away. We couldn't be more happier to have you here on the show. And also, this is a Geek at Birth reunion between the two of us.
It is
great because we need to have more of these episodes between Dave and I. We need to have more conversations between the two of us here on Nerd Culture Channel. Maybe Geek at Birth will make a comeback somewhere down the line.
We need to figure out some way to do it.
Because I mean, Dave and I have had a good, professional relationship for a few years now, and it's been fun. And we like having these discussions with you, and maybe watching or listening to this. Dave, it was great to have you back, brother.
I appreciate that,
I know I
brother.
give you a hard time. I know I throw you under the bus a lot, but it's all in love and care.
Hey, it's all
and kindness. It's ribbing because we do it all the time. We rib each other all the time. We do it online. We do it outside of the internet. We do it on the internet. And we have fun with it, and we hope you have fun with it too. So, Dave, where can the person watching or listening to this follow you on social media and everything that you have coming up? Because I know you've been a busy man up to this point.
I have. Where can they not follow me? Unrelated at birth, we are a podcast, me, myself, and the phenomenal brother, Adam Russell. It's basically a podcast where we talk about basically everything. Anything and everything under the sun, just things that make us excited. Also, Around the Fire Pit, it is kind of an edgier podcast with my friends Ryan and Matt. But if you want to talk to just me on Twitter, I am at dadams419. We just look, if you want to talk Star Wars, shoot me an IM, shoot me a tweet or a X, whatever they call it these days. I am always willing to talk Star Wars and the lore, just because I think it is one of the coolest. It's one of the most well thought out series that has ever been written. Ryan, I appreciate you having me on the show, brother. It was a lot of fun. I'm always up for talking to Star Wars, like I said. You're on mute, brother.
Lord knows you have the knowledge for it, brother. But yeah, so technical difficulties aside, Dave, I'm going to talk to you again here in just a moment. But I do want to take this moment and say thank you to each and every single one of you who've tuned in. My name is Ryan of Nerd Culture. Follow me if you dare on my not very good Star Wars knowledge at Ryan RPM5 on Twitter and Instagram. Feel free to follow me on Linktree. The link is in the description below. The links to where you can follow Christie as well as Dave are located in the description below. So check them out. Check out all the wonderful things they got going on. We got a lot of great shows coming your way, including that new podcast/documentary series called The Meaning of Fandom. So that is going to be a lot of fun. I have a lot of people come to me and saying that they're interested in being a part of the roundtable discussion, including Dave Adams, as well as many others. So we're going to have them on here. We're going to have different episodes with different people each time. We're getting the scheduling and the details together, but stay tuned to our social media. We'll drop that information to you when it is available. In the meantime, check out And I Quote. Check out some of the movie anniversary watch-alongs we got coming up. We got some really, really good things coming your way. And Ahsoka's weekly mission is going to be on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. EST. In the meantime, like, comment, share, subscribe, ring that bell to be notified when our videos go up or they go live. And remember, the Force will be with you always. Take a look.
There's so many. Has anyone been to them all?
Not likely.
I want to be the first one to see them all.
Truly wonderful the mind of a child is.
Come on. When you find people who need your help, you help them. No matter what.
We have hope. Hope that things can get better. And they will.
Stand up together. Because that's when we're strongest. As one.
You won't be going alone. You'll have a friend with you.
No. I'll have a Jedi with me.
You might want to buckle up, baby.
Rise,
Rise in the Force.
Take care of us, little one.
It'll take care of you. We had each other. That's how we won.
Force is strong in my family.
Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
What is it they've sent us?
Hope.
All right, I'm a little tired, I'm a little wired, and I think I deserve a little appreciation.